First of all, I'd like to thank Director Celia Ilumba and to congratulate both her and Secretary Boy de la Peña of DOST for the successful TELA Conference 2021. I would also like to greet my brother, the Honorable Christopher de Venecia, who is the Congressman of the 4th District of Pangasinan and the Chair of the Special Committee on the Creative Industry and Performing Arts, or ACHIB. I would also like to acknowledge the help of Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy Binay in the creative industry. Of course, I would like to also acknowledge our partner in the development of the textile and fashion industry. We have the very beautiful and smart USEC Fita Aldaba, and our other partner in the development of our textile and garment projects that we're working on right now. We'd like to also thank Chair Eileen Lisada. Thank you very much, ma'am. We've been learning so much from you. We would also like to greet the Honorable Stella Kimbo, the Congresswoman from the 2nd District of Marikina City. She has been a light for us in the fashion industry and has been helping in the development of the footwear roadmap. We would also like to thank USEC, uh, USEC, the USEC, Dr. Rowena Cristina Guevara of DOST, and thank also Dr. Julius Liano for his help with our work on the POW project. And of course, acknowledge uh, the former senator and deputy speaker, now deputy speaker, Congresswoman of Antique, the actual author of RA 9242, Congresswoman Lauren Legarda, who has been an inspiration for all the weavers nationwide. Later, we'll be hearing also from Ms. Marga Nograles and from Kaayo, who's actually one of our directors, one of our other people who has been advising us and was influential also in helping us bring about the adoption of the congressional pin, which was our arrow pin, which we'll be showing you later. Again, greetings also to Mr. Stanley of 5 Cent Global, and to all the people who are here today in this Zoom, and the ones who are going to be who are going to watch us on Facebook, especially to the very hardworking people of DOST, DTI, and CCA, DA, and all the line agencies who I hold very close to my heart as the chairperson of the Philippine Fashion Coalition, because I know you're working to help us in our industry. Again, special mention for Congressman Tof de Venecia. Thank you very much for all your help. And we look forward to your help also, Senator Nancy Binay. I'm going to be speaking today not on a call to action, the POW project, because that's something that is still in discussion. The topic that we will be discussing for the Philippine Fashion Coalition today is pushing the boundaries for the creative Philippine textile economy. Why were we invited? We were invited because we are the first coalition nationwide of fashion designers, the academe, and also the creative services supporting fashion nationwide. So we have members in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and in actually all the regions. We look at textile research and development, artists and crafts. We have among our members also apparel designers, accessory designers, artisan brands. Among us also would be modeling agencies, fashion PR, event and pageant production, photographers, and fashion stylists. So it's the whole ecosystem that is under Philippine fashion. When we take a look at the history of, when we look at our topic, we of course we should look first at the history of Philippine textile. It was mentioned earlier by Yusek Fia about uh, the growth of the industry through the years, and both the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities, and also the opportunities and threats that have happened with our industry. But what is important to mention is that um, we need to recognize that we have with our Philippine textile both the artisan and the commercial aspects of it. For the artisan or the TELA, we have 14 to 17 million indigenous peoples belonging to 110 ethno-linguistic groups. So there would be textile from the Kalinga, the Gadan, the Yakan, all made with handlooms. These are handloom fabrics. So there would be 33% in Northern Luzon, 61% in Mindanao, and then also in the Visayas. Among the tala that we have also would be the Abel, Piña, the Abacaf, the Tinala, Kusi, and Hablon. What is important is that we protect our indigenous technology while keeping in mind that to be able to have more economic growth for our country, both domestic sales and also for international sales, we need to support our textile mills. So what had happened to our textile mills? In the 1950s, there was a series of deliberate efforts to foster industrial growth. It was an effort of government and the private sector to actually grow the entire textile industry, from the growing the cotton fiber, the cotton plant, to spinning the cotton fiber, its cultivation, spinning into yarn, weaving into cloth, bleaching and dyeing, knitting, and creating different types of mills to process them. There would be knitting mills, hosiery mills, industrial textile mills, garment manufacturers. This cotton fabric and the other fabrics that were fostered then reached its peak in the 1960s. And at that time, we had fully integrated mills that did the spinning, knitting, dyeing, and produced um, and exported garments under the quota system. But what had happened was, with the cheaper importation, with the cheaper importation of textile, we had and the end of the quota system, we had lost our strength with the commercial in creating commercial textile. And so this is something that needs to be addressed. The We'll go back to the what happened was, in 16 years ago, then Senator Lauren Legarda created the Philippine Tropical Fabric Law, wherein it would prioritize natural fibers that would be 5% of woven or knitted fibers finished in the Philippines of tropical fabric, where we would use all these fabrics for government. But sadly, what had happened was, it was not it wasn't something that was like fully implemented, because we didn't have the fibers and the spinning facilities or the weaving facilities to do this. So it is important, like in the growth of any nation, that 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 the textile industry should be fully supported, because this is one of the backbones of any culture and of of a people. So when we take a look at the kind of fibers that are supported by the Philippine Tropical Fabric Law, 5% had to be abaca, banana or pineapple, or 15% silk. So now it's just an addition. It's not the real type of fabric that is fully woven. So this is something that we're taking a look at with the civil service, DA, DOST, and DTI to be able to do this. So with the next slide, of course, we need to take a look at what is happening in the world and what are the trends that are going on. With it's important to understand and to think about how we consume. There has been trends to go organic, to have zero waste, and when we say organic, it is actually grown as organic material using organic dyes. And from zero waste, it means that all of the aspects of the entire fabric are being used. So let's say if there would be a garment that would be made with this kind of textile, even the scrap material would be used to make another type of item, or there would be you could break down up to the recycled fibers, break down uh, garments or clothes that have actually been used into recycled fibers and use it and spin it again to be able to make new types of garments. So it's with sustainable fashion as a trend now. There has been, as shown here, the power of the purse. So there has been decisions of different companies, some of them like H&M, and some other and other more specialized brands. We could take a look at some brands locally also that are taking a look at sustainable fashion. It's a choice to be able to support this. The For the voice of a city as the power in the world, there are world trends, but then as you can see with the example of Cebu and how it has become uh, seen as a design city that's known worldwide for its creativity. So it's one of the creative cities. Um, it's important to be able to support the individuals with the with the by the it's important for the domestic cities to also support their local talent that's there, because there would be like with the support of the local talent, the if we localize uh, the policies that are if we localize the policies that are taken as important, like under the sustainable development goals, then this is something that would be adopted within the city. So taking the cue from the creative the law on creative the development of the Philippine creative industry and adopting it within the local development councils. So this is the same with policies. If there would be policies that we would like to do, it could be adopted on the city level or even up to the barangay level. Next slide, please. So, Congressman Toff de Venecia spoke earlier about the Creative Industries Act and how it is important to support this, to be able to help the cultural, artistic, and the creation of goods, products, and services, wherein there would be a potential of wealth and generation of wealth and intellectual property for our country. So he had mentioned in the bill that he had shown that there were 9 sectors, 9 that they were taking a look at, and among which would be design. Wherein we have our fashion, accessories, textile, and uh, sector which are included in that area. We are also involved with design again with under Philippine Fashion, working with the Design Center and SITEM and DTI. And we would like to receive support also under the Design Competitiveness Act, because uh, it would be most difficult for the Philippines to compete on the basis of purely cost, because of our higher cost with our electricity, with our labor, but we can compete on the basis of design. So this is something, if this is something that the government will support, then they need to put in assistance to be able to bring designers um, in all the regions, and give design help to all the regions also, across all types of all types of goods and services. It could be garments, it could be fashion accessories, or it could be things related to industrial design of items. So this is an aspect that we really need to take a look at as an area for growth of our country. It was mentioned by Yusek Fita about the, 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 the growth that we need to have with 9242, and we need the full implementation of this law that hopefully will happen in 2022, if that is even possible. Now we're taking a look at steps going there. Uh, there are 3.8 there are 1.9 million government employees. So cut across all these employees, and then even with and then if ever we can have the support also of government to encourage companies to buy local fabric, then if we end up looking at the use of fabric that we have here, we could even do more uh, with culture as a soft power for the Philippines. So uh, Congressman Toff had mentioned about Korea and its use of its media, of its art, to be able to export its goods and services, because everyone knows about the K-drama and about the K-pop music, and also the makeup from Korea, and then the same way from Japan also, they sell the idea of Japanese made, or Japanese is good, through their products, way ahead from actually selling the products abroad. And there is a big move to use the there's a big move to use the Japanese fabrics. So that's something that we're taking a look at here. We need to support our fashion and our textiles, our crafts, our values, our language, our historical places. So culture is the soul of our nation. So this is the role of our Philippine textile and our fashion, to support our culture. And that is what makes us Filipino. Next slide, please. We came across, when we were doing our research, we came across someone named Lee Edincor. She's one of the world's famous trend forecasters based in Holland. And she has a trend forecast called Trend Union. And she came up with, you can actually search her, she came up with an anti-fashion manifesto, and she had a very good TED talk. She had said that a piece of fabric is able to explain the time we're in. Somehow it reflects the cultural, political, and economic situation. It can be the spokesperson for the period. Uh, in the past, I think in Iceland they had used whalebone and uh, whale whale leather to be able to make their clothes, because that was the sign of their times, and that's how they were able to clothe themselves. In the Philippines, we were able to spin our yarns and spin our fabrics because of the backstrap hand looms. and the indigenous culture that wanted to clothe themselves and tell the stories that of their seas, of their rivers, of the stories of their tribes. And so they were able to actually come up with the type of cloth that became the backbone of the tribal culture. What Lee Edincor said in her talk was that it what 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 is lacking now is education, and there should be textile knowledge. There's a lack of textile knowledge, as there are designers that come in and then they end up just trying to make items, but then they didn't study how to make the textile. There has been a lack of schools updating, like what Yusek Fita Aldaba had mentioned. There was a lack of updates with the type of courses with schools for textile and fashion design. uh, there's an importance to bridge this technology of weaving our slow craft with backstrap looms, and also using technology to be able to produce more textile, yet respecting the traditions of the tribes. There has to be more textile research. There are new fabrics coming now. There among which could be like the abacadenium, the piñatex. There are more textiles coming there, and that's something that we need to recognize and work with. The future is textile. When we take a look at a hamburger could actually be 50 pesos. But then, are we going to equate that to a piece of textile that has been woven by an indigenous group when they ended up doing so many man hours doing it? There should be a value that's also put to um, to uh, to our artisan work. So we need to take at legislation to have regulated prices also, because our communities have to live. Next slide, please. So how will the Philippines and its creative economy address the future? There are two aspects that we need to take a look at. There's technology and the respect for our culture and our national identity. Because when we take a look at technology, and purely technology, it will there will be no longer the sense of the individual nature of the Filipino. And so we have to take into aspect uh, our national identity. When we take a look at e-commerce and the great reset that has happened with us right now, like all of us now are here on Zoom, and because of our because of what has happened uh, with with COVID-19, there has been, on the flip side, a growth of e-commerce sales worldwide. It has grown by 839 billion by the end of 2020. It was a 40.3% growth, and it was the highest actually in 2 decades. Online sales accounted for 21.0 of retail sales, up from 15.18%. And the retail chains in the US will end with a 76.8% growth rate in e-commerce. The Amazon sales was one third of US e-commerce. And because of COVID-19, there was an added 153 billion to online sales. We take a look at online, but then of course there's the retail aspect. Uh, Many stores have closed, and a lot of manufacturers and designers locally have been affected because Neiman Marcos, JCPenney, J. Crew, and Brooks Brothers filed Chapter 11. Likewise, there were companies that have closed here. There were also factories that have also closed here in the Philippines, in the PEZA area and outside of the PEZA area. And other companies worldwide had decreased in sales from 48% to 60%, if not 100%. Other trends to take a look at would be data analytics, customer insights, data exchange, if you could go back, and automation, uh, which is a reflection of the industrial revolution. Uh, there was the mechanical industrial revolution, and this is our next industrial revolution, going digital. So I heard something from Secretary Mon Lopez that you should innovate or die. So it's important to be able to survive and not to be one of the not just the decrease of sales of 48% to 60%, but actually closing of your factory. You need to be able to innovate and understand and pivot. That has been the big words of this great reset, the word pivot. We need to take a look at data mining, artificial intelligence. Fashion companies have to take a look also at material manipulation. Um, we have the masks that were done by with DTI that included nanotechnology. So with nanotechnology, it means that you could waterproof something, have something as antimicrobial, UV blocking, anti-static. With silver nanoparticles, you can kill bacteria, fungi, prevent odors. Uh, and there's also the material manipulation wherein you could probably process the material to come up with other looks and other ways to do it. Again, with technology, this is something that is the great equalizer, but we need to take into regard our respect for our culture and national identity. So how can we use how not use, but how can we highlight our culture and national identity with the e-commerce and the Great Reset? So we need to take a look, since there has been a growth in e-commerce. We need to take a look in to create fabrics that would be answers to what is needed with this Great Reset. Provide the data analytics and the customer insights to be able to understand what again is needed. With big data, we're faced with new relationships between consumers, suppliers, and competitors. And fashion companies have to manage this data. It's crucial for companies to master these data flows to optimize their decision making. That is artificial intelligence. We need to be able to cover a wide scope of design support systems to fashion recommendation systems through sensory evaluation, intelligent tracking systems, textile quality control, fashion forecasting and decision making in supply chain management, and social networks and fashion e-marketing. I guess you've noticed when you end up searching something on Facebook for a particular kind of product or particular kind of material, there are ads going to you now. So again, we need to take a look at this as we are entering the Industrial Revolution 4.0. How will the Filipinos grow? How will our Philippine companies grow in this kind of new environment? Next slide, please. So here's the favorite part of my slide. uh, the Philippine Fashion Coalition had launched the Araw pin, which which is a brooch which took inspiration from the 8 rays of the sun of our flag, and it symbolizes our hope for the greater tomorrow. So among these ladies here and among our senators and our government officials who are here right now and our stakeholders, you are our hope. We hope that you will continue to support TELA and the fashion industry, because if you do not support it, then what else will we have? We're just going to be consumers of other countries. This is where the Philippine Fashion Coalition comes in. We hope to be the voice to unify the Philippine fashion industry, to safeguard and protect the rights of the Philippine industry professionals and creative artisans, to promote and develop and support the initiatives to support our Philippine culture and national identity, and to be a force in professionalizing the Philippine fashion industry. If you have any concerns or want to help us create a sustainable Philippine fashion industry, please contact us and be a volunteer or be our member. You can be one of many. Join us at PFC, and together we can make a difference. Again, thank you very much and good morning.
The term used by a famous Filipino economist, he calls it virtuous impatience. So I hope we share that with the Philippine Fashion Coalition, and I hope that you found an ally in the Philippine Textile Research Institute. We have a lot more that we could possibly discuss and offer to the causes and to the initiatives that you have with the coalition. So yeah, looking forward to a very fruitful collaboration in the future. And yeah, in the more recent, in the more urgent and pressing concerns of the day. So thank you very much to Ms. Carissa Cruz, Evangelista, and to the rest, to the phalanx of supporters of the Philippine Fashion Coalition. I saw also Jackie Aquino there. Thank you very much, the president of PFC. Thank you very much for the support and for reaching out to the PTRI and for championing the cause of the Philippine textile and fashion industry.